This chapter is about microbiology of water, aquatic microbiology, in which we are going to learn about uh, the microorganisms that inhabit natural waters, including fresh, estuarine, and marine water. By the end of the lecture, you will be able to describe the different types of fresh water. You can explain the factors that directly influence the microorganisms living in fresh water or in marine water. And you can describe different environments, including benthic and freshwater environment. Aquatic microbiology is the study of microorganisms and their activities in fresh, estuarine, and marine waters, including springs, lakes, bays, and seas. It is the study of microorganisms, viruses, bacteria, algae, protozoa, and microscopic fungi, which inhabit these natural waters. Some of these microorganisms are indigenous to natural bodies of water. Others are transient, entering the water from air or soil or from industrial or domestic waste. For example, wastewater can be pumped into rivers and coastal waters, or it can be disposed of in deep ocean dump sites. Wastewater usually contains microorganisms which will influence the activities of microorganisms already present in the receiving waters. Aquatic microbiology, which in previous decades was studied by a relatively few microbiologists, has emerged as one of the more important areas of applied microbiology. Urbanization and consequently the growing demand for water by communities, the importance of natural water as a major food source, the offshore exploration for oil and minerals, and other developments have resulted in the establishment of federal agencies which exercise jurisdiction over many aspects of natural bodies of water. These include the Environmental Protection Agency, abbreviated as EPA, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, etc. The Earth's moisture is in continuous circulation by a process known as water cycle or hydrologic cycle. It has been estimated that about 80,000 cubic miles of water from oceans and 15,000 cubic miles from lakes and land surfaces evaporate annually. The total evaporation is equaled by the total precipitation, of which about 24,000 cubic miles fall on land surfaces. Microorganisms of various kinds are present at different stages of this cycle process, which includes atmospheric, surface, and groundwater. Because the kind of aquatic environments are so different, so it is not surprising that different species of microbes are considered to be indigenous to specific habitats. Atmospheric water is the moisture which is contained in clouds and which is precipitated as snow, sleet, hail, and rain. It constitutes these all constitutes atmospheric water. The microbial flora of this water is contributed by the air. In effect, the air is washed by atmospheric water, which carries with it the particles of dust to which microorganisms are attached. Most of the microorganisms are thus removed from air during the early stages of precipitation. Then surface water, water which is bodies of water which such as lakes, rivers, streams, and oceans that remain on the surface of the earth are known as surface water. Then we have groundwater, which is the subterranean water, which actually accumulates under all pores in the soil or rock containing material. Bacteria as well as suspended particles are removed by filtration in varying degrees. depending on the permeability characteristics of the soil and the depth to which the water penetrates. Springs consist of groundwater that reaches the surface through a rock fissure or exposed porous soil. Wells are made by sinking a shaft into the ground to penetrate the groundwater level. Wells less than 100 feet deep are considered to be shallow. If we talk about microorganisms, then wells and springs, which are properly located, produces water of very good quality. If precautions are taken to avoid contamination, the microbial content is negligible. हमारी जो सरफेस है, अर्थ का वाटर है, ये सारा का सारा कंटेन होता है किसमें, हाइड्रोलॉजिक साइकिल में. आपको पता है कि वाटर तकरीबन 75 to 80% ऑफ द अर्थ सरफेस इज कवर्ड बाय वाटर, और उसमें से भी तकरीबन 3% कॉन्स्टिट्यूट्स अबाउट फ्रेश वाटर, ऑफ विच 1% इज़ बीइंग यूज्ड बाय ऑल ह्यूमन काइंड. हाउ कम दैट दिस स्मॉल परसेंटेज ऑफ वाटर इज़ बीइंग यूज्ड बाय अस. तो इसका जो लॉजिक है या इसकी जो रीज़न है वो यही है कि ये वाटर मुस्तकिल रिसाइकिल होता है, और उसी वाटर रिसाइकिल, आपको पता है जब वाटर ओशन से एवेपरेट होता है, जिसमें हमने अभी बताया कि तकरीबन 80,000 माइल्स जो हैं वो तकरीबन ओशन से, और इसके अलावा 24,000 जो है वो तकरीबन प्रेसिपिटेट्स के तौर पे वापस आता है. तो ये पूरा का पूरा एक साइकिल है जिसके थ्रू वाटर जो है वो कंटेन रहता है अर्थ के अंदर. इसमें हमारे पास इस साइकिल में डिफरेंट स्टेजेस में वाटर मौजूद है. जैसे एटमॉस्फेरिक वाटर, वो आपकी क्लाउड्स और जो वाटर हेल्स और रेन्स के सूरत में नीचे आते हैं, दैट इज़ एटमॉस्फेरिक. फिर आपके पास सरफेस वाटर है विच इंक्लूड्स द वाटर विच इज़ प्रेजेंट ऑन द सरफेस ऑफ द अर्थ, जिसमें ओशन है, सी है, लेक्स हैं, रिवर एक्सेट्रा. और देन वी हैव ग्राउंड वाटर, जो बिल्कुल ऐसे वाटर हैं जो सीप होता है पोरस सॉइल से और रॉक्स के थ्रू, और फिल्टर होके नीचे बिल्कुल बीनीथ द रॉक्स जो है जमा होता जाता है. उसको आप अगर ड्रिल करके निकालते हैं तो दैट इज़ नोन एज वेल. और वैसे स्प्रिंग्स होते हैं जो कि रॉक के फीचर से निकल के, पोरस सॉइल से निकल के नीचे जमा हो जाते हैं, और फिर वो बाद में निकल आते हैं बाहर. ऐसा वाटर क्योंकि वो फ़िल्टर हुआ होता है और बहुत अच्छी क्वालिटी का होता है, अगर वो प्रॉपरली लोकेटेड है तो उसमें माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स तकरीबन ना होने के बराबर होते हैं. फैक्टर्स जो आपके एक्वेटिक एनवायरनमेंट को अफेक्ट करते हैं, और ये आपके फ़िज़िकल और केमिकल कंडीशंस दोनों पे डिपेंड करते हैं. ये तमाम हैबिटेट्स के तौर पे होते हैं, यानी बहुत एक्सट्रीम टेम्परेचर्स या एक्सट्रीम को अगर आप देखें, और या फिर आप बिल्कुल ही ऐसे एक आप लोकलाइज्ड वाटर बॉडी को देखें, हर उसमें यानी जैसे अगर आप मरीन एनवायरनमेंट देख रहे हैं या फ्रेश वाटर, उन सब में ये जो है एप्लीकेबल होता है. द फर्स्ट वन इज़ टेम्परेचर. Temperature of surface water varies from nearly 0 degree centigrade if we're talking about polar region. Polar region में तकरीबन वाटर 0 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड पे फ्रीज़ होता है सारा. और अगर हम इक्वेटोरियल रीजन की बात करें, जो इक्वेटर के साथ साथ के एरियाज़ हैं, वहाँ पे जो टेम्परेचर वो तकरीबन 30 से 40 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड होता है. ऑलमोस्ट 90% ऑफ द मरीन एनवायरनमेंट, जो कि सबसे बड़ा आपका एक्वेटिक हैबिटेट है, इसमें जो आपके पास टेम्परेचर होता है इट्स बिलो 5 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड. दिस कंडीशन इज़ फेवरेबल फॉर द ग्रोथ ऑफ साइक्रोफिलिक माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स. माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स जो हैं वो हॉट स्प्रिंग्स में भी होते हैं, वहाँ पे भी पाए जाते हैं, एंड दे कैन बेयर टेम्परेचर अप टू 75 to 80 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड. Pyrodictium oculatum, which is found in Volcano, Italy, the temperature of water was about 103 degrees centigrade. And laboratory studies have shown that this bacterium is an anaerobe that grows by forming hydrogen sulfide gas from hydrogen and sulfur. It cannot grow below 82 degrees centigrade. Another new group of thermophiles is Pyrobaculum organotrophum, which is a strict anaerobe gram-negative rods, and they are motile by flagella. They grow at an optimum temperature of 100 degrees centigrade. So, recently it has been reported that extreme thermophilic microorganisms are present in geothermal vents in Pacific Ocean floor. So these unusual microbes are um, capable of growing at very extreme temperatures and very extreme pressure as well. So aside from this extreme, the temperature in lakes, rivers, and estuaries is influenced by the season, and there are corresponding shifts in the microbial flora. Then we have the other factor is light. Light, which is the most forms of aquatic life, depends directly or indirectly upon the metabolic products of photosynthetic organisms, and in most aquatic habitat these primary producers are algae, and their growth is restricted to the upper layers of water through which light can penetrate. So the depth of the photic zone varies depending on such local conditions such as latitude, season, and particularly the turbidity of water. Generally, it is said that photosynthetic activity is confined to the upper 50 to 125 meters of water body. And in this region, carbon dioxide is available largely in the form of bicarbonates and carbonates, and some gaseous carbon dioxide is also available. So light is also a very you can say important factor in determining the life of microbes in different layers of water and in different bodies of water as well. Then we have hydrostatic pressure. Hydrostatic pressure is actually it is the pressure at the bottom of a vertical column of water, and it increases with water depth at the rate of 1 atmospheric of pressure for every 10 meters. So 1 atmospheric pressure means 14.7 pounds per inch square or per square inch, and 10 meters means 32.8 feet. So the near the ocean bed the pressure is greatest, and it can affect the biological system in various ways. So barophilic microorganisms, the organisms which cannot grow at normal atmospheric pressures, have been isolated from Pacific trenches. Depth of them is about 1000 to 10,000 meters, where enormous hydrostatic pressure exists, which is greater than 100 atmosphere. Hydrostatic pressure of the deep sea is an important factor in the occurrence and growth of marine microorganisms in this environment. Deep sea bacteria have now been isolated from sediments, water, and deep sea animals by using special pressure retaining sample devices. In general, the barophilic bacteria grow best at pressures slightly less than the pressure of the site from which they are isolated, and almost all must be grown under psychrophilic conditions, which is about 2 degrees centigrade. Then we have turbidity. Turbidity There is a marked variation in the clarity of water surfaces. The Adriatic Sea is thought to be as a sparkling clear at great depths, whereas some near-shore rivers are often turbid. The suspended particle or material responsible for the turbidity includes particles of mineral material which originate from land in the form of sediments or rock pieces, erosion, etc. Then we have detritus, which is predominantly the particular organic matter which occurs or which develops from plants like cellulose, hemicellulose, and chitin fragments. And the others are suspended microorganisms. Turbidity of the water influences the penetration of light, which in turns affect this photosynthetic zone. So particulate matter also serves as a substrate to which microorganisms adheres, or as a substrate that are being metabolized. Many species of marine bacteria characteristically grow while attached to a solid surface, and they are known as epibacteria or periphytes. So epibacteria are the bacteria that grow or that develops in the photosynthetic zone and are attached to the particulate matter which is found in turbid water. Then we have salinity. Salinity is the presence of dissolved salts in different bodies of water, and the degree of salinity in natural water ranges from nearly zero in fresh water to saturation in salt lakes and especially marine environment. A distinctive characteristic of seawater or marine environment, it is said that it has been very high in salt content. The concentration of dissolved salt varies between 33 and 37 grams per kg of water. The major mineral constituents of seawater are chlorides, sulfates, and carbonates of sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. The concentration of salt is usually less in shallow offshore regions and near river mouths. Most marine microorganisms are halophilic. They grow best at salt concentrations of 2.5 to 4%, whereas those from lakes and rivers are salt sensitive and they do not grow at a salt concentration of more than 1%. Then we have pH. Aquatic microorganisms in general can be grown at a pH of 6.5 to 8.5. The pH of the sea is about 7.5 to 8.5. Optimum growth of most of the marine species obtained on media adjusted to pH 7.2 to 7.6. Lakes and rivers may show a wider range in pH depending upon the local conditions. Archaebacteria can grow in extreme pH range. Then we have inorganic and organic constituents. The quantity and type of organic and inorganic material present in the aquatic environment are important in determining the microbial flora. For example, nitrates and phosphates are important inorganic constituents, particularly for the growth of algae. Organic compounds are required for the growth of saprophytic bacteria and fungi. Saprophytic bacteria and fungi near shore water which receives domestic wastewater are subject to intermittent variations in their nutrient load, whereas the nutrient load of the open sea is very low and stable. The industrial waste may contribute to antimicrobial substances to estuaries and coastal waters. Mercury and other heavy metals in small concentrations may also inhibit the growth of some microorganisms while simultaneously permit the growth of resistant forms. Resistance is usually coded for genes by and associated with R plasmids. For example, many pseudomonads and staphylococci are capable of volatilizing mercury, thereby removing its toxic effects from their immediate environment. Now, if we talk about the distribution of microorganisms in the aquatic environment, microorganisms in the aquatic environment may occur at all depths, ranging from the surface region to the very bottom of the ocean trenches. The top layers, the surface film, and the bottle sediment harbor the higher concentration of microorganisms, particularly in deep waters. माइक्रो जो हैं वो तमाम तरह की डेप्थ में मौजूद होते हैं, इवन इन द ट्रेंचेस ऑफ ओशन. सेडिमेंट्स में आपके पास शायद आपको थोड़ी लाइफ कम मिले, लेकिन वो भी अभी तक पूरी एक्सप्लोर नहीं हुई है, और ये कहा जाता है कि बहुत सारे माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज़म्स अब तक जो है वो डिस्कवर नहीं हुए. सो टॉप लेयर और मिडल लेयर में आपके पास जितने डीप होता है वाटर, उसमें उतनी ज़्यादा माइक्रोबियल लाइफ जो है वो मौजूद होती है. The aggregation of floating and drifting microbial life in the surface region of the aquatic ecosystem is called as plankton, and it may be primarily composed of algae, which is known as phytoplankton, or it may be predominantly protozoa and other minute animal life, and then they are known as zooplankton. प्लैंकटन जो है वो ड्रिफ्टिंग माइक्रोबियल लाइफ है, जो एक आपने अभी मैंने आपको प्रीवियस प्रोटेस्ट के लेक्चर में भी बताया था कि प्लैंकटन्स होते हैं जो एग्रीगेट्स होते हैं माइक्रोबियल ऑर्गेनिजम्स के. ये माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स अगर फोटोसिंथेटिक हैं और एल्गी है इसमें मौजूद तो वो कहलाते हैं फाइटोप्लैंकटन, और अगर उसमें प्रोटिस्टा और दूसरे एनिमल्स छोटे मौजूद हैं तो देन इट इज़ नोन एज जू प्लैंकटन. Phototropic microorganisms are regarded as the most important plankton since they are the primary producers of organic matter via photosynthesis. Most phytoplanktonic organisms are motile. Uh, they possess some structural feature or contain oil droplets which give them buoyancy. All these features and the organism in maintaining the location in the photosynthetic zone, the multitude of physical conditions which influence the planktonic population quantitatively and qualitatively is actually the factors that are affecting and the life of microbes in different bodies of water, as we have discussed earlier. Okay, that's all from now, and I'll continue the lecture in the next